So, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
What's up?
If you can hear us, we'll know because you can see us, and we'll know because you're looking at us, looking at you, looking at us. So if you're sitting in the back, if your back is to the wall right now, that's not a good spot. That's actually, we pick the people in the back first. So if you're sitting against a wall or close to a wall, you might want to move now. I'm just saying. If you're in the hallway trying to get in, you might want to get in now.
Just a warning.
All right. So we want to welcome you. Welcome everybody to Let's Keep It 100, the rap and movement building session. My name is Steve Vassor, and I represent AMP Strategies. And to my right, your left, is my new brother from another mother. She clearly is Chinese or Cantonese.
You know it.
Casey Philip Wong. So give Casey a warm round of applause.
And you all know Steve, the VIP, the famous, the legend. He's been around the world. No, I'm just playing. Here we go.
So just a little bit about Casey real quick. Casey Wong hails from Southern California, from San Bernardino, from the Inland Empire, if you're familiar, just outside of L.A. As Casey and I got to know each other, and you know, we can talk about platitudes and that kind of thing, but, you know, as far as we're concerned, pardon my French, there's going to be a lot of French today. That shit don't matter, right? What matters is this brother, how he found hip-hop and how he's living hip-hop. So how he found hip-hop and how hip-hop found him is with the loss of his father. And hip-hop was the soundtrack that carried him through. And so now Casey, as he's managing the think tank at the Hip Hop Education Center in New York, as he's studying race, inequality, language, and what is the E, brother?
Education.
Man, I see.
The big E.
As he's studying RILE, race, inequality, language, and education at Stanford, getting his PhD, he's also using hip hop to mentor young people. So that's my brother right there, Casey Philip Wong, otherwise known as Casey.
Appreciate it, Steve. And we got a special picture right there. Let me flip that back. You recognize who this dude is right here? Forward. So, but on the end, you know, so that's what Steve was saying. But anyway, you know, Steve, I've been so honored to build with over the last few days because, you know, Steve been through it in the whole trajectory. I was born in the middle of the trajectory, and Steve was there from the beginning. So Steve tells me, this is how old I know Steve is. I was like, Steve, when'd you fall in love with hip-hop? And Steve was like, when that, you know, I got that Sugar Hill record in my hand for the first time from my uncle. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's real. Okay, we'll keep on moving forward. But anyway, that is that. That's us. So, you know, you guys are in a hip-hop session. We're not going to let you guys get away with not getting up and doing things. So we got to exercise straight off the bat. So this is how it's going to work. We got this side of the room right here, and we got that side of the room right there. And what you guys are going to do is, as soon as I play Kendrick Lamar's All Right video in the back, what you're going to do is going to use that as inspiration, use whatever inspirations you got, and you're going to come up with your own call response. And the other side, they're going to be coming up with something dope, so you better come up with something doper. So, and what this response is going to be about is that every time you guys are getting a little, you know, tired in the session, someone's going to go, whoa, whoa. Let's test this out. So I say peace, you guys say peace. Peace. You guys can do better than that. Peace. Peace. There we go. So you guys are going to create your own call and response, and you guys are going to wake each other up. We're going to keep it moving, and it's going to be our call and response. So you guys ready? We got any questions about that? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys about a minute, and you guys are going to kind of walk in a circle. We'll give you about a minute to say what's up to each other, but then, you know, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. And just to give you guys a background, I've done this with youth across the country, and they come up with some dope stuff. All right, so you guys got some high expectations. You are adults in the room, so I know that you guys can come up with something dope. Cool. All right, so go ahead and get in your groups. So, just stand up and, get to a position where you guys can all hear each other. Can all talk to each other.
Yes.
Here we go. And when you guys look ready, we're going to throw it on. How we feeling? How we feeling? I'll give you all about 10 more seconds of get to know each other time. All right, here we go. So from this point forward, you guys have exactly 2 minutes. Here we go.
All's my life I has to fight, nigga. All's my life hard times like yeah, bad trips like yeah. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, homie, you fucked up, but if God got us, then we gon' be alright.
Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright.
And when I wake up, I recognize you looking at me for the pay cut. Bahamas, I be looking at you from the face down. Or make a living even boom with the bass down. Scheming, and let me tell you about my life. Painkillers only put me in a twilight.
Guys got 60 seconds left. 60 seconds.
I tell my mama I love her, but this what I like. Lord knows. 20 of them in my Chevy. Tell them all to come and get me. Reaping everything I sow. So my karma come in heaven. No preliminary hearings on my record. I'm a motherfucking gangster. Silence for the record. Tell the world I know it's too late. Boys and girls, I think I've gone great. Trying to side my face this all day. Won't you please believe when I say, when you know we've been hurt, been down before. Nigga, when our pride was low, looking at the world like, where do we go? Nigga, and we hate po-po. Wanna kill us dead in the street for sure. Nigga, I'm at the preacher's door. My knees getting weak and my gun might.
All right, you guys got 20 seconds. 20 seconds.
Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Huh? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright.
What you want? You a house, you a car, 40 acres and a mule, a piano, a guitar, anything. See, my name is Lucy, I'm your dog. Motherfucker, you can live at the mall. I can see the evil, I can tell it. I know it's illegal, I don't think about it. I deposit every year to zero.
All right. All right. All right.
Wow. Wow.
I love it.
We just heard from the other group that somebody went in their rhyming book. Somebody broke out the rap book.
They went there. Oh, we'll see. All right. We time to sit down? We time to sit down? Ooh, this group is still contemplating over here. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's wrap it up. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so this side, I'm going to hand whoever wants to be the leader of the charge the microphone, and he can lead it. Here we go.
Peace, peace, peace. All right, y'all, here we go. When I say up, y'all say lift. Up, lift, up, lift. When I say strength, y'all say wisdom. Strength, wisdom. Strength. Wisdom. When I say peace, y'all say love. Peace, love. Peace. Love. When I say rise, y'all say above. Rise, above. Rise, above. Keep it 100.
Yo, that was hot. That was hot. That was hot. I know this side's getting real nervous right now. Who's going to be the leader on this side? Who's the leader? Who's the leader? Okay, here we go. We got it?
Oh, everybody rose up. Stand aside. They got up.
Just follow the tone of my voice. When I speed up, everybody. You right? Gather around, y'all. Gather around. You beast
There's props and everything. You know, staging.
You ready?
Lighting.
Get in, get in. Come on, y'all.
All right. Who got that power? We got that power. Who got that power? We got that power. Who got that power? We got that power. Who got that power? Who got that power? Who got that power? Who got that power? Keep it 100.
Ooh, built up right there. Love that drop. All right, all right. So anytime in the session where you feel like the energy's getting low, feel free to call out, and we'll keep it moving.
So a couple of things before we push a little further, because there are a few more folks in the room. And certainly we are being live streamed. So everything that y'all just did, your bosses, your mama, your cousin, they saw
all gonna
all
see.
of that. So I can't vouch for you. But one of the things I want to just share with folks before we move any further is that there will be strong language. I'll step a little further. There will be salty language. Let me step a little further. We're going to keep it one. Now, some of y'all said it the proper way. Some of y'all clearly, as Riley would say, word. And if you are that person, we'd like to invite you to go elsewhere, do something else. There's a lot of other great sessions happening if that's going to bother you. But if not, we're going to keep it moving. Because we want to have a frank discussion about how rap music intersects with youth activism. And so where we want to start this, and I want to open this up and close it up really quickly, is sort of in this topic of I Used to Love Her. And if you know the reference, it's a reference to a Common record that really talked about the trajectory. And so if you ever saw the movie Brown Sugar, that's sort of how it's played in there, and that's really sort of what they allude to through the movie. This idea of hip-hop for me is ingrained in me. I grew up with hip-hop. And for me, when I received that Sugar Hill Gang record, my father immediately, so it went in my hand, and then my father was like, yeah, look at it, and now I'm going to go put it up. And so as far as he was concerned, rap was crap. As far as I was concerned, there was this new thing that was coming on that was now the soundtrack to my life. And I believe, and I come from the school, that when you love something or someone, you love all of them, not just the good parts, right? So the struggle I have with rap music specifically is also what I love about it, which is the grittiness, the rawness. And even to this day, when I can't figure out, like, why the hell Ray Smurd wants to, spell eardrummers backwards and, rap about no flex zones and all this other stuff I can't really understand, I still love it because there's a progression. Because when I was in that moment, I knew what it felt like to have that record come on the first time and your entire being come alive and sync up with that beat and understand what was going on. So for me, this is going to be sort of a love. I feel all of a sudden like Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing.
It's okay, Steve.
There's love and there's hate. And there are pieces I like and pieces I dislike, but I love the totality of it. All right, and I'm not going to apologize for it because there are women in the room, there are young men in the room, and I'll tell you that there are some parts that trouble me as a father to two daughters who are one who's now in college and another who's in high school, and who are coming up through these messages and having to navigate the world through the misogyny and some of the things we heard this morning on the panel. So this is not going to be one of those hip-hop rapper apologist sessions, nor is it going to be one of those sessions where we're just going to dog the life out of rappers because we can. All right? So I used to love her. I still love her.
All right, so we're going to keep it complex. We're going to keep it nuanced. I like that word used the other day. So I hope you guys are ready for this one right here because we're going to start from the top You know, we're going to work it down, okay? So just to give you a background for this record, if you're not into hip-hop, you're not into rap. So this was a #1 on the rap singles chart. I think it has around 65 million views on YouTube. This has some of the 4 most prominent rappers right now in the hip-hop world. And the images that you will see, sometimes people represent, some say, you know, things that Steve might say, you know, the worst of things, you know, so we want to make sure. So anyway, I want you guys to pay attention, and we're going to have a discussion afterwards.
You just got cash, blow some out, blow some out, blow some out. The more you spend it, the faster go. Bad bitches on the floor. It's raining hundreds, throw some out, throw some out, throw some out, throw some out.
Slim Jimmy, high by hater. I flood the club with paper. Shawty got an ass, some for now, some for later. Something like Nicki's, dancing like Malaya. How I'm throwing all this money, I'ma fuck around and buy.
All right. So we got some questions for you guys about that. We're going to enter into a large group discussion right now. So what's some first impressions? Do we like it? If yes, you know, explain. If not, why not? Okay, what's terrible? Let's get specific.
This is called an anti-rapaholic move. You hold a mic like Phil Donahue. Yeah.
No, I was saying that everything, no, the beat is nice, but the message and the lyrics of the song is trash, to be honest.
All right. Sis, excuse me. Sorry, messing up all your comfort over here.
So I think it's really important that we take into context like how hip hop culture has evolved and how it's been hijacked by corporate America. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. And so one of the things that I tell my young people is to really like critically think like the misogyny, the capitalism. So they're, you know, the women having to hustle essentially to meet this standard that young people are being bombarded with in regards to capitalism and consumerism. So I think that this video in particular is a perfect example of that.
So you mean to tell me they're not stripping in high schools and throwing hundreds and with skates? The name of the game, y'all, is keep it 100.
I
Yes.
just want to add to what the sister said here too. Is also kind of promote some of the false images of what masculinity is. And you know, if I'm not, you know, if I don't have a knot of ones to you know, pay the ladies, I'm not really a man. Or I'm not man enough if I'm not having them do these specific moves on me. And, you know, I struggle with it. I'm like Steve. I grew up on hip-hop. I love hip-hop, the good and the bad. And I think it's important as, you know, elders in the hip-hop community that we communicate the messages, you know, help young people to understand the message that they're receiving. And, you know, corporate America, I can't blame them solely, but them dictating what's being put out has a strong effect on what these young people are creating. And, you know, it's a supply and demand thing, but I think that too often we're not helping to break down barriers for our young people and helping to translate, and often want to take the stance that it's crap and you don't need to listen to it without really breaking it down further.
If you have your hand up, just so that we don't forget you, please make sure to, you know, wave at us. I'm gonna come to the back and then up front, brother.
I have a couple of thoughts about this video. One thing is, you know, I'm a hip hop head, and the work that I do is based in ensuring that we are relevant and understand what's happening in hip hop right now. But one of the things is we keep saying that this is a terrible image, the misogyny, et cetera. But if we remember correctly, even in the 90s, right, there were some songs that we all shook our behinds to, including one by a certain, what's his name, Akinelli. If anybody remembers that, I'm sure there's a bunch of women in here who were at the club dancing to that song, and it's nothing but misogyny, right? And I think the other thing is that this just demonstrates how stripper culture has become like the basis for hip hop, right? Like, it not only puts this unrealistic view onto what young men should be doing, but it also puts this unrealistic view onto what young women should be doing because they see this is the way you make money. The way I make money is I go in this club, Magic City, and I make $2,000, $3,000 a night, right? So I think this is an opportunity for us to say, yeah, okay, you could do that, but you could do these other things too. This isn't the only way, and these videos are kind of saying to young girls and young boys, this is how you know, how you represent yourself, right?
Well, hold on, brother. We got. Yeah, wait a minute. Okay, because you got about a line of folks that's gonna get real live here in a minute. All right, brother. Hit it hard and hit it quick.
Hit it hard and quick.
That's it. You
Oh,
got
man.
we ain't got all night.
Oh, man.
Hey. You was trying to reach for the mic and everything.
No, man, you can't. But no, seriously, I'm Jacorius. But when I look at that video, I look at it microscopically. I look at the very nuances of it, and when we begin to talk about structural and institutional racism and what corporate America has done, it is almost like this idea of reverse gentrification. Because what happens is this, as long as the media or corporate America can portray that, that is a way for them to keep us behind. Because how do you truly change your educational outcomes of young men of color when you're fabricating or creating this subliminal truth of what really does not exist? And then you have situations like, you know, folks like 50 Cent or whatever that's filing for bankruptcy, and then you're asking a young man or a little girl to be like these individuals. So when I look at that, it's almost it's very depressing in a sense that it's creating ideas in individuals' mind that's really not tangible, and it's, I don't know, but yeah, that's my.
You said it. No, you know, brother, you hit like 5 points hard, but you said it.
Who's next, Steve?
Somebody's great leather bag got me back here. We need 2 more comments, and then we got to push. So,
I think I don't. Yeah, definitely.
Folks in the world can't see.
I'm with you. I think that when I look at hip hop in the place that it's in now, especially with like as much energy and emphasis that's put on this avenue, because there's other things to hip hop other than this type of video. But I also think that society and, I hate to say it, but like family, like structure, you know what I mean, and not putting enough emphasis on other things. You see what I'm saying? I do blame the corporations, but also corporations are in business. So they're going to push what's selling. Now, what sells this or what buys this is the mentality of the child. So the other part that I don't think that we put enough energy towards is the balance. Because, yeah, we turn up. We do, but at the same time, we're educated. We have jobs, like as far as like real life, like the people that you don't see. So I encourage other people like us to stunt in a politically correct way or in a professional way just as much.
Wow. All right.
Sir, kind of
you got it.
Back on his point. I know Charlemagne the Guy always says like there's a balance between righteousness and ratchetness. So when I think of hip hop, I think in that context as well. To me, that's like the ratchetness of it, but there's also the righteousness of it as well. So I don't think we should take it out of the hip hop like sphere, but because it plays a part of it. Like I mean, I think like the 2 Live Crew. My parents used to listen to 2 Live Crew, and that was all about shaking your behind in the strip clubs in Miami. So there's always this balance between the two. So I don't think we should take it out of it.
Cool. So we're going to go ahead and transition. But 2 points that I thought were great that I'm going to, we're going to continue that conversation about is that I'm sure you guys have heard, some of you in the room, the work of Joan Morgan and hip-hop feminism. And there's an aspect about particularly women's of color's bodies about how they're controlled by males and men, regardless of the fact of what women want to do with their bodies and how they want to portray their bodies. So that's going to be a conversation we're going to continue. And, I think Mo said it best. He's saying, like, hip-hop, what we see in the broader sphere, only about 5% representation of particularly, black people, which is the majority of hip-hop we see. So, but just to kind of flip it a little bit, what if I told you, and this is coming from a linguistic standpoint, like, this is the dude, you could tell, yeah, we can go home. He said, you got that dude from Stanford who's got his linguistics master's. I'm about to let you know. Rap music has more black language that it's sustaining than most of the time conscious hip-hop does. So what do I mean by that? So we got Macklemore, right? He wins a Grammy. If you go through Macklemore's piece, there's not going to be many aspects of what we call black language in it. There's not going to be the rich innovation and linguistic flexibility. And right now, I'm going to model with you right now, like this is something we could use with this video right now if you're trying to work with young people. All right, so this is what I'm calling like linguistic activism. It's something that people don't talk about in spaces, about how language is policed and how language enters into a space. You're judged when we do it. But if we're talking about linguistics, if you go to one person across the country and you speak to another person and they can understand what you say, that's a language, and that's what linguists consider a language. It's not what the government says is a language. It's not what the United Nations says it's a language. That's what linguists consider. That means it's systematic and it's rule-based, which means that when you're saying something, which I'll have a few examples in a sec, you have constraints that you mentally, you're a genius because you're a human being. You created this stuff. You've come up with the genius to be able to project it, all right? So an example of power in politics, Cantonese and Mandarin. These are two Chinese dialects. But even though if you have got a Cantonese and Mandarin speaker next to each other, they can't understand what each other's saying. Nation state of China wanted it to be one language. Spanish and Portuguese. Where my Latinos at? Can you understand some Portuguese? Little bit. But you can understand a little bit, right? And they have a distinction, be like, this is definitely a language. This is definitely a language. And these are literally a tiny little peninsula that's like miles and miles apart. All right. And something that we're going to correct right now is African-American English, African-American language, I'm going to let you know, is the most widely studied variety of English by linguists in the world. I'm going to let you know that. Let's say that again. And it's not slang. Slang is just a differentiation describing vocabulary and particular innovations on vocabulary. So what do I mean by that? All right. When I say she been married, what does that mean? Who knows what that means? You guys all know that one, right? When I say Serena Williams be winning matches, what does that mean? There we go. When I say Melissa finna DJ, what's that mean? There we go. When I say Stevie steady stepping in them Jordans, what does that mean? Systematic and rule-based. So many of you guys in this room recognize what that was and how the linguists do it. So let's go back to that song. All right. In systematic use of systems that which sounds better. All right. We're talking about the, of the piece of it. And then our 100. Secretary, what do we say? There we go. So we say 100? We say 100. All right, cool. So now we can move forward a little bit. All right, so now that we got a little bit of the critique side of things, we're going to show two videos. And I don't know, Steve, do you want to intro into a little bit real quick? No, I don't. You're good. You're good. We ready to roll. Okay, so a background of two videos I'm going to show you, because now we're moving to the youth activism piece, what hip-hop can do. So Dre Zeus, who I'm about to show you right now, is a native artist from the plains of Canada. He's Cree, and he uses hip-hop for a reason. We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to show in a second right after a video by Rebel Diaz. They're Chilean brothers. They're living in the Bronx right now doing really some dope activism, so we're going to talk about it. So first, let me show this one.
First, you should know that I have risen through the fire in colorful buckskin. The object of my desire is the color of my skin, so divided on my kin. Watch me turn the tables till we eating like some kings in beautiful headdresses. The culture is so impressive, I'm just hoping I absorb it when he passing me the message. Cause baby, it's depressing living in this mess we call a home. We should take it back and chokers resting on the collarbone. Arrowheads right along, the enemy like styrofoam, piercing through the strongest armor, death and genocide of foam. And still I stand, a singular red man with Jupiter-sized heart, forever repping my clan. The Eagles and no man, watching over my plans, talking real shit. Baby, no faking here for the fans. I'm shouting out Bobby Jones, my auntie, my Muslim George. I'm drawing all of my strength from my people here before me, man. Big chief in the building, everybody take your place. Remove your feelings if you you wanna ride with me. We about to go to war right now, no petty ass beef. When it all go down, who's gonna ride with me? When it all go down, who's gonna ride with me? When it all go down, who's gonna ride with me? When it all go down, who's gonna ride with me? When it all go down, who's gonna ride with me? Blessed is the man with sons who walk beside him. There's not enough leaders out there we should be riding. They left our people broken, but homie, don't play the possum. Learn to grow yourself a set, cause you can bet there's nothing promised. They saying I'm a problem, they call me public enemy, but they don't understand that I hold it down for my family, and I hate it when they say that I won't be cause I'm native, cause in my mind we the strongest. We were built up for the ages. Hey, give me back my phone, take that. You don't want that, where my brains at? Put him up pot with a braid of the sweet grass. Put a prayer up, if you ain't gonna ride, get back with your weak ass. No room for the weak, of the type of speech that brings us down. Need them soldiers to be strong when the bad man comes to town. Right out. Big chief in the building, everybody take your place. Remove your feelings if you wanna ride with me. We about to go to war right.
Alright, so that's one. That's one. Let's go to two.
According to Article 31 of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples of 2007, we have the right to maintain, control, protect, and develop our cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expression.
Let's go. Yup, I'm an alien from planet Chile, a Bolivarian galaxy that will be the illest. Welcome to my world, the people's universe. Let's have a conversation that'll make your soul search Earth. Mother, it feels good to say things that uplift the hood. For what it's worth, we've been here for a while. Follow the moon, take a walk for a mile in the shoes of the man that picked your fruit. I want access to schools, I don't want to join the troops. You came to my country, you brought the dictator. Gave him money and told him pay me later. So taste the tomato, whatever. The students, the farmers, working together. Pa'lante inmigrante, no a la guerra. Mundo mapuche, siempre, forever. A human being, I got feet, so I walk. More than this, she waitress, heat rave shift. Out of this world, outcasted, held captive by second-class staff. My 5-0, how they become the border. I laugh and say.
We'll go ahead and dive into some conversation. So these are the questions we got for you guys after the have they not, maybe? And what are Dre's
Because I actually just saw Rebel Diaz dead prez in the Bronx. Brothers told a story about, and it said alien, and he was bugged out about it. And so it was an empowerment for himself in the sense.
But it tells a story about in their lives and how probably don't agree with what they're saying, but it's what their life is about.
Steve gave me the mic, y'all. And I think the biggest issue is that all the hits, and that gets overlooked. So, but people talk about how there's no good hip hop, and I'm like, dude, there's like 20 albums out that just intelligent, who have flow, and that's their push it out on your
us, folks who are conscious and we're aware of it, to do our jobs. If we want it, then we have to support it.
I was gonna say the first video, I forget the brother's name, Drezus, context, and I've never seen a hip hop. It challenged my perception of what I consider hip hop to be, so appreciate that.
And one of the things that I think I'm always been and from the inner city, then you can't possibly be hip hop, right? But hip hop's about what much more. It's about how you identify. And those videos to what we see in the 90s, et cetera, is that this about alienation, for lack of a better term, and from both of those videos that those folks are talking about their disenfranchisement and what that means and how they.
Definitely it is hip hop. It was good. Hip hop. People are like, oh, well, you know, I want hip hop with a message. I want to hear that's good. Talking about something good. Said, you know, we don't use our social media, this hip hop. We don't use it to put out. But then it's easy to, you know, with about it, how died, which is insane to me. Ray Sermon, like it's not like they got Talib. The commercial for their new. I'd never heard of either one of these. Not only is the video good, these videos were amazing, but the music is insane, and I never use on a daily basis all of that stuff. And then the word of otherwise, people don't know and people don't understand it for you, you know, are out. And a lot.
You kind of pick about, you know, very much hip hop. Expression, it's an art. You know, you get a beat, struggle, or whatever the issue may be. Is that how is it not hip hop? Well, automatically, if we think hip hop, we automatically the black community from the black standpoint. Kind of how I feel that it's definitely hip hop, definitely great music.
And so I think it's going it from a spiritual perspective. Parents at church that they and Tupac was it was about the storyality of it, and it was a way by when, you know, I say, you know, and my granddaughter said, Nana, let's listen to a little trap. I said, did you say train? And I needed to come up to another notch, but I enjoyed because then we could communicate, and I think that this was an excellent way for us to really begin to communicate.
I just wanted to ask something from the first video. You know, who has not been in a strip club, and I don't want you to raise your hand, who has not listened to this music and feel like you were somehow empowered or you were able to raise your spirits when you listen to some trap music, right? So for me, there is this misogynist nature to stuff, there is this negative portrayal, but there's a sense of, even though there's all these things going wrong, I could listen to this and feel a little empowered that, you know, I could throw a little bit of money to someone who may need it or not need it. And it gives me a sense of empowerment, like just to be real. Not that I'm in a strip club in Miami doing those things, but but for some folks, it's a sense of like I have this little I have, you know, I could feel like a sense of having something. Like I'm not belittled by society or white supremacy, all the things going wrong in my life. I got this little bit of something that I could feel good about. So I would like to challenge us. This is a socially conscious part, but this is also feel good, running in the gym, out with my friends, doing, and so I would like us to be real about this. It is very popular for people to go to strip clubs. It is very popular for folks to engage in drugs with friends and talk about life and do all types of things that we frown upon, but happen, and people just act like it's not happening. So I'm just gonna stop there before I get in trouble.
For me, it's definitely hip hop in my mind. For me, hip hop was always about empowerment. It was being told that you had no space to create, whether it was art, whether it was music, whatever it was. Telling you I couldn't, like, because I'm a painter. So like for me, it was being like I can't afford to buy paint, but I can afford to I can get my hands on some spray paint. But and so for me, it was always about like being able to be empowered and to create space where we weren't being allowed to create space. And a lot of different music was about that, but hip hop especially. And like For me, hip hop was always grounded in that cultural connection because I was never allowed to have space to be who I was. As a Chicana who doesn't speak Spanish, who doesn't have a connection to myself or my culture, it gave me space to hear that. When I first fell in love with hip hop was one of the first times that I went to a b-boy jam and seen all these things happening and seen native dancers b-boying with also doing incorporating native dance moves. And those were things that culturally connected me, and also what also connected me into activism. Because if it wasn't for the fact that I had space to explore my identity and to create space where people were constantly telling me, you don't belong here, you don't fit in, you don't have space, that was what grounded me in organizing and activism and community work, because I didn't have the language to talk to you about systemic or structural problems inside of my community, but I knew what that felt like. And hip hop gave me that space to be able to to voice that, to talk about it, to use it through my art, through lyrics, through dance, and through all those different spaces. So it's definitely hip hop for me.
So just want to articulate back to you all something that you've said, and I'm going to say it as now a full member of the Grown Folk Club. And what that means is that we probably had filters at the house. And what I mean by filters is, I don't know about you, but in my house, when a Richard Pryor record came on, your ass was upstairs because the grown folks is about to party. When a red light bulb got pulled out of somewhere, any bulb aside from white meant you had to adjourn elsewhere, and you were not to be seen or heard for the rest of the soiree. And that created a filter. So there were some things that were on limits for you and some things that were off limits for you. Now all of us have a supercomputer in our pockets or, on our person somewhere. And what that means is the information, the filters have been beaten back to some extent. However, rap music and hip hop is still the hood CNN, but a better version, much better version, minus certain people, much better version. If you're willing to listen through, if you're willing to acknowledge the fact that when a 4-on-4 beat comes on, and if that beat drops the right way, whoa, wait a minute, that hit me somewhere in here sonically and resonated, and now my body's moving, I don't know what's going on. If you're willing to acknowledge that, and that comes from deep. If you're willing to acknowledge that this art form came from a place of absolute destruction, that was Fiorello LaGuardia when he was, no, it wasn't LaGuardia, who was mayor at the time, decided he wanted to make sure that the white folk had a superhighway that got them into Manhattan and out of Manhattan as quickly as possible, and he was going to run it through the Bronx. And so he cut a trench through the Bronx. And so the question is, what comes out of that kind of environment when there's that kind of destruction? This is 10-year destruction. This is generational, physical destruction with poor schools, with poor people that are now, they were unified and now they're bifurcated, they're cut apart by this highway. Don't have a lot of resources, but we got voice. We know how, we are resourceful folk. We know if there ain't no electric, we know how to get electric. Not electric. For those of you that missed that, electric. Because when you get electric, it's different than electric, right? And so we know how to get it. We know how to throw a jam even in the worst situations. If I got $2.50 in my pocket, guess what? We partying like it ain't nobody's business. Ain't nobody else got to know. Because I got an iron in the house, and I got some clothes in the closet. And I know somebody's got a turntable and somebody else has got a speaker. And I know somebody's got a microphone. We got a party. That's where hip-hop was born from. When there were no instruments, all you had was this, was voice box, was body, was the clothing that was on your back. And what's amazing to me, when we talk to young people about rap and hip-hop today, is alerting them to the fact, we started off talking about corporate culture, right? That corporate culture will buy hip-hop from you, will take your culture, run it up into any store you can think of, Abercrombie and Fitch, The Gap, Banana Republic, all name one. They run with it and sell you your culture. So you running up in the store buying your own style. You running up in the store buying your own culture. And they just waiting for you to come out with something new, with some new intonation or lack thereof. That all comes out of this generational piece. So Ray Smurd, actually I do, Jay-Z did get featured in a Dodge commercial, but it was for the sedan, and it was for the 300. But, you know, if I want to feel tough, if I want to feel like every night is a night to go through the urban oasis in my big four-wheel toy and bounce, Ray Smurd is the way to go. If I want to get lit, that used to mean something different when I was coming up. When somebody talks about it's lit, I'm like, who's drunk? Who been drinking? Don't laugh at me, Keith. Keith is dying over here because he knows he's killing me right now. So all that to say that for you sitting here who are thinking about this, and I heard a comment earlier, not in this room, but in another room, about how we're privileged to even be in this space. The transmission of that privilege up and down the line is very important. And transmitting to young people at every opportunity that you are the generator of culture. America sits on the edge of its seats waiting for you to come up with something new. And as soon as you come up with something new, it's commodified and it's back in the stores. So at what point do you, as Jay said, you know, own your masters and slaves? I'm going to stop talking.
Man, you testifying. Just to build off of Steve real quick, which transitions to what we're going to next, is, you know, me and Steve talk about this a lot. When you work with vulnerable young people, they ain't going to be listening necessarily to Kendrick Lamar. You know, they're going to be listening to whatever's hot, and you're going to have to connect with them at that point. You know, and just like, you know, our young people, you know, if you got a young person, we don't get perfect young people. You wouldn't need to help perfect young people. Perfect young people need help because they have things going on in their life. And it's about connecting with their reflective experience about what they're trying to do. So now that we've had this conversation, now we're going to ask you guys to kind of work on this on your own related to your particular interest and causes. You know, we've been talking about activism. I know everyone in this room's got their particular causes. I'll let Steve kind of take that away and explain the process.
So here's what we're about to do is, as Casey laid in, and thank you, Casey, for pulling me up, because I was the soapbox was starting to build up right under my feet, brother. I was getting ready to go in. So what we're going to do is have you all break out into smaller groups based on key issue areas, key cause areas. Can you back it up one slide for me before we do that? Because that's the answer key.
Yes, sir.
And the question is that we want you to answer. There are actually several questions, and we want you to focus on the ones on the slide. There are questions on these hands. Do that anymore. We want you to focus on for your specific cause, and so around the room so that you can rally around those causes. I'm going to do like 7 people a group.
Yes, that sounds right.
Find somewhere else to be. One of y'all got to go. Voting rights, LGBTQ, gender equity.
That's my mess up.
Lauren from Denver is going to lead the gender equity. Improvise in hip hop, yes. So in exploring this via income inequality, there, mass incarceration. I'm going to say BTQ rights. We have voting rights, which I'll set over here. Discrimination by race and ethnicity. This is a hot one right here. This might get like 14 people. Immigration by the door. And And the last one we'll put up is education. So we have two that aren't in, but we'll talk through those two. So, so if you would please break down into the smaller groups, find a group if there are more, and you'll talk amongst yourselves for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come. Oh, we have someone interested in solidarity and so you get to run that. That's you, sis. Now you got two people.
On that instead.
2 minutes. All right, so let's back together. Dave Chappelle. So much group. Go to my to planet Earth. Be the sole controller of the universe. Aside the part, the rough when I start flowing the mic, the shape from the power I Cali used to think it was earthquakes. God, I'm God, but the end or trip to slip because my night got fiend on stage. That's that record carried me. Doing power the first time I heard. As a matter of fact, I think I was in a car. Turn the camera off. Of a facilitator. You all have been having some really great content together. I had to use a little bit of the old book real quick, but you all, and we like the issue is level or give us a very quick overview of how hip hop can for your specific cause. Interest of time to just give a top 3, okay? Are in the back of the room, front of the room, depending on how you see it. Everybody else just all of a sudden, but start with this. What's your issue?
It's a common language, especially with a lot of the and on the subject.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm gonna come over to the group. So,
how you guys doing there? Right. Discrimination by race and ethnicity, like really resonated with all of rap. With rap, it's like diverse, especially with the beats. How the beats get you. How type through the way different messages are conveyed different ways. Let me talk about how I was shot or how the liquor store down there, and now I'm about to talk about how the liquor store. And yeah, and then it's like language and talent. Like how they say, oh, go in that ear and stay in that ear. And that's what like language is. A soul breeder.
Our topic was education, and we have themes, and our dialogue was about how that's something we've heard in a lot of sessions here is generational gaps, and what several people talked about using specific artists as a means, using hip hop as a therapy, so to speak. And feeling empowered and getting through it. But again, the common theme is about community. Is education to me, and I think a lot of us, if you really delve back into your experience as a hip, it might have been about politics or business or community affairs, but hip hop is really education.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm not going to actually report back, but I did want to say I chose this session because hip hop, the role that it has played in my life was that it was a primary tool of communication between my son and me. And someone recommended, when I was saying, I don't want to hear that out in the hallway, I don't want your siblings hearing it, close your door, put headphones on, do something, I don't want to hear that stuff. Someone suggested that he write down the lyrics or show me the sleeve notes or whatever and talk to me about how he felt, and that I not focus on the language in and of itself, but on his feelings. And to this day, he's now in his 30s, we oftentimes communicate through music. So I'm deeply appreciative to hip hop for having opened up that door. But Angel's going to report on our group. So thanks for letting me know.
Okay, so we kind of have a makeshift combined group. So we wanted to address the misogyny and look at it through like a gender-specific lens. And then also we teamed up with the LGBTQI group so that we could kind of be in solidarity with each other. And so the three things that we spoke about was, first and foremost, so we related it to working with young people on the ground, right? So opening up space for youth and LGBTQI folks to have a space to create through hip hop. And so like, for me, I'm a hip hop kid, like that's part of my culture very much. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican, but hip hop is also just as important to me as the other aspects of my ethnicity and my culture. And so we think, well, I feel that is true with a lot of the young people that I work with. So them having that space to utilize hip hop and create in that way, for me, like rap is like street poetry, really, that comes, from the hood. So, and also pushing for funding for that, because a lot of funding has been cut in regards to arts. And then also supporting young people in unpacking some of the messaging that is coming through in mainstream. So someone like myself, like I'm very familiar with Rebel Diaz, and I use Immortal Tech and all of these things, but they're getting all of these things. So really helping them to unpack that stuff and create, so they can make their own informed music in their lives.
Spell with an I instead of a Y. I want to see, like, the history and the culture. I like when we hear be disrespectful or very, very LGBTQ themselves. Necessary, like, value when they are being devalued and being being put at expense for someone else to make money off them, So I feel like it's something else that we need to influence hip hop to kind of change. This is how their approach of like how they view gay and trans or bisexual or whoever, if you identify as being this heteronormative person, So that's one of the things that we need to kind of call out in terms of mainstream hip hop itself.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask these last two groups, because the sound you heard actually is the sound of us running out of time, and time is time. So I'm just going to ask you all to, instead of giving me 3, give me 1, and then get off the mic, because we got to go. Let's keep it 100. Yes.
Go.
Yes, please.
Is it? So I will we're gonna put them both together. So it's telling both sides of the spectrum. Like, just as much as we talk about being consumers, by spending, we should talk about more about investing or being producers. The second one is entrepreneurship. Rappers, models, everybody else, basically are entrepreneurs. So they should understand and think of themselves as being people that can create revenue streams to then reinvest in whatever else it is that they want to do. Entertainment entrepreneurship.
You doubled up on me, brother, but we heard you. Budget was 1. You gave me 2.
For the price of 1.
For the time of 1.
All right, so our topic was mass incarceration, and so our number 1 would probably be the definition of masculinity, which seems to get us in trouble because all these rap songs and everything is talking about things that land us in jail. And so that's what our biggest problem is we have to redefine what being a man is, and that's taking care of our women and not objectifying them and things like that. So
wow. All right. Right. Yes. So here's where it is. Those of you who took notes, and I'm going to ask Casey to bring us home for a second, so don't move, but those of you who took notes, please keep your hand raised for me because we need to actually get pictures of those notes. And what we will do is we will actually compile what you've written to the extent that we can decipher it. We will compile what you've written and then share it with the entire group and probably with the conference via the conference proceedings, so that you all now have developed a set of resources and a set of ways to engage these conversations via hip-hop. Cool? Via rap music. All right. Casey?
And was it just to close on a last piece? Is that something just to leave you guys with is, you know, I take this from one of my mentors, Jeff Chang, when he's talking about this, is that, you know, artistic and cultural change almost always precedes political and social change. And it's one of the fundamental things that, you know, the reason why I do hip-hop and arts, you know, why I do that type of work with youth. I'm going back tomorrow to work with my young people. I'm going to tell them about this experience. It's going to be good. But I just want to leave that nugget with you guys because some people are like, oh, it's just art. Oh, it's just hip-hop. But think about it. Through history, there's always been a radical imagining that needs to take place before you can move forward.
I'm supposed to follow that? Radical reimagining. So my wife asks me, whenever she sees Jay-Z and Beyonce and Blue Ivy, oh, is that hip-hop? My wife asks me, whenever she sees Kanye and Kim and the baby with the directional names, Northwest, she asked, is that hip-hop? And my answer is, hell yeah, it's hip-hop. Are you kidding me? Because, again, hip-hop is aspirational. Hip-hop isn't just about describing what is, but it's about describing, to what the sister said earlier, it's about describing where we want to be. And there's nothing really good about stagnation. Like if 10 years ago you were rapping about being on the corner in the bodega, popping people in the jacket and all this other stuff, and 10 years later you're still doing the same thing, we got to start asking a different set of questions. I think, for me, hip-hop equals critical consciousness. It equals a place where our young people can describe fully and thoroughly what they see and then gives them some basis to act upon it. Now, that doesn't make it perfect, but nor is any of the processes we're working through. Our task is to keep making it so-called more perfect. That's our task. So what you gonna do? And with that, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we done. We done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I just want to send a mad shout out to my Cantonese mom for sending my brother back to me.
We did it.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and please make sure to talk about this when you get home. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate you. If you have notes, please, we'd like to take photos of them.